what are the best sites? I get that all the time in comms and I never have a good answer.
I have a lot of answers, but the first answer everyone's going to hate.
Thank you so much for tuning in again on Second Act TV. Once again, I'm welcoming back Laurie Gerber, the dating coach, relationship expert, and she happens to specialize in our age group to help us find love after 50. Laurie, thank you so much for being here again.
Glad to be here.
We have a topic today that we get questions on all the time. Love it or hate it, online dating. And the first question that comes to mind is, what are the best sites? I get that all the time in comms and I never have a good answer.
I have a lot of answers, but the first answer everyone's going to hate, and that is if you're asking what site, you're asking the wrong question. It doesn't matter what dating site, really. However, loving your dating site, kind of like loving your doctor, makes you feel good and gives you a better attitude and makes it easier and makes it more fun. So I will answer, how do you pick the right dating site for you? But I will not pretend like it's the most important question to be asked.
That's a great point. What's the best site? It depends on you. Are you comfortable doing whatever they want you to do? Because like I was on Match. Paul and I met on Match. That was 13 years ago. I was briefly on eHarmony and I think Chemistry. I don't know if that's still around. I didn't like it so much. Yeah, if whatever the structures, the platform is, if you're not gelling with that, find one that you are.
Right. And it's really, really individual. And I think it's good news that there are so many choices. In a sense, it's bad news because it overwhelms us and it makes us think that making the right choice is really important. But the good news is you do have a lot of choices and you can really decide, do you want to go big, like a Match.com or an eHarmony, which just I would recommend to anybody who's serious about dating, as long as you're not going to get offended by the fact that there's too many people on there and there's a lot of garbage to sift through. I go to Filene's Basement, I go to the mall, like I don't think I'm gonna love everything there, but I'm willing to go and look because there's just so much. So a Match and an eHarmony, and those, they don't per se cater to 50 and above, but they're really comfortable for 50 and above. They're very used to servicing that population. Then there's the ones that really service that population, like Our Time, Silver Singles, and there's a smaller one I think called Senior Match. So again, bigger or smaller. The smaller ones you might like because less overwhelming. The bigger ones you're gonna like because more inventory. And then I want to also give a shout out to the OkCupid, Hinge, Bumble, Coffee Meets Bagel that skew younger, but are perfectly adequate. And each one is a little bit different. Each one has its own little quirks and tricks and, things you might like or dislike vibe. To me, Hinge just gives you like so too little room to write, but you might like that. So, it really depends.
This is a stupid question for me, so I'll ask the questions maybe our audience has if they're not familiar with this. But Hinge is an app, right? It's like on your phone where Match and eHarmony are better suited for your PC.
That's such a good point. And that is actually, it shouldn't matter, but it really does. And for me, as a woman over 50, I cannot stand this. I want to be on a computer. So having a dating app that I could only use on my phone would drive me insane. There's two more sort of tiers I want to talk about. If is now a good time to bring up? Okay. So there's niche dating sites as well. Please don't rule those out. And if you have a niche that isn't big yet, you still should Google it and see. There are farmers, truck drivers, Christian mingle. Obviously, every religion has their dating site. If you have a thing that distinguishes you, that makes you think maybe you would like to meet other people who also identify with that thing, don't forget niche dating sites. Again, smaller population, but possibly better targeted to what you're looking for. And then lastly, Facebook dating and meetup groups. These are free and these are a little bit different. So Facebook is a whole different thing. If you're not on Facebook and you don't love to learn a new thing, probably that's a little too much of a stretch. But if you are on Facebook and you like Facebook, Facebook dating is still free. Very interesting option. I've heard good things. And meetup groups are a very fun way to meet new people for friendship and for potential love around your interests. Yeah. So disadvantage, you'll meet lots of people who aren't single. Advantage, you'll meet people who like the things that you like.
An important point. You said that Facebook, and Meetup, of course, are free. It doesn't make sense to pay for a site. I've gotten this question over and over and over again. What do you advise there?
Yeah. Well, so first of all, dating sites are businesses. They are designed to make money, right? They're providing a service. They're doing a thing. It takes a lot of money to keep those servers going and all that technology working. So first of all, don't be offended that dating sites cost money. Think of the money you're saving by being at home, not having to go out to a bar and buy 3 drinks to meet people. Yes, you should spend money on a dating site. However, I recommend dating your dating sites. In other words, trying them out, doing the free 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, and seeing which ones you like. Because I can tell you all the little details. I have, like, in my Master the Art of Love course, I have a 36-page guide that breaks down every dating site, what the cost is, what the advantages are, what the disadvantages are, all the pros and cons, what people complain about, right? But you don't really know until you try it.
Here's a question before I forget. Is it a fair test? Because during the trial, do you have access to all the texting and getting messages and not? Because some people are discouraged when they do free. Right. They think, but people can't even answer there.
The answer is no, it's not at all a fair test. It's not at all a fair test. It is just a free trial. When you free trial anything, you're getting a taste of it. You are not getting the full effect of it. What you will understand is, do I like how this technology shows up on my phone or my computer? Do I like what I'm seeing? Do I like the customer service? Do I like the price? Do I like, you're just learning by doing. So I really encourage you to date your dating sites, do the free trials, or even pay for a month, right? The month is usually double or triple the price than if you commit to a 6 months or a year. It's worth it.
I was just going to bring it up. One thing that I found was really helpful, and I've recommended it, and I want to make sure that that's still appropriate, because this was over 10 years ago, is don't sign up for the 3 or 6 months.
Don't get the deal.
You're going to get tired by then. Just 1 month. Yes, it's more expensive, but it's money where I thought.
And don't sign up for your 1 month until you're ready to work it, because there's never going to be more action than in that first month.
Yes.
And so if you're going on vacation or your kids are visiting or you're at a hard time at work, no, just wait patiently and chill out. Do not pay until you're ready to actually handle it, and only pay for 1 or 2 at a time at the very most.
Here's a common question. You sort of kind of addressed it already, but like sites like Match, eHarmony, Our Time, are they still go-to, or are the newer ones better? Now, there's so much out there. People get confused just by what's out there.
I am of two minds, because I see my ladies going both ways and having success. One is not winning out over the other in my mind yet. I think you have to go see how you feel. Again, for me, having it be able to be on a desktop would be an absolute must. But if that's not a must for you, then go and play around. And unfortunately, what I'm saying takes time. And I'm telling my daters, you need to have at least an hour a day. And to your point, it's like looking for a job, but even more important. Finding the love of your life is equally, if not more important. If you can't accept that it's going to take time each day, you're probably not ready. You're on what I call on the bench, right? And that's fine. You can be on the bench, but don't be in between, right? Don't be on the bench pretending you're dating, because then you're just going to get so fatigued and so disillusioned, right? If you were looking for a new home, you'd understand you have to go to 20 open houses, and then you have to go back, and they have to bring an inspector. And for anything that's important, it takes time and effort.
That's so true. And for some reason, we don't equate that. If we go to the doctor and it's not covered by insurance, that we're not going to get it, even though we might get a purse for $500. It is getting that in your mind. So one of the objections that we hear all the time is that online is just nothing but scammers and fake profiles. How do you answer that?
Yes, there are scammers and fake profiles. And there are also defunct profiles, because there's a lot of people that are drunk late at night. They make their profile, they get on, they're excited, and they literally forget, or they just never come back, or they're married and you need to just learn to not see them.
How do we do that? How do we cut through the clutter?
Especially it's a mindset, right? And it's also having time, right? Setting aside time, knowing I'm going to take an hour to go through 20 profiles, to think 5 are interesting, to start conversations with 3, to continue a conversation with 1. And then if you're going to have to go back to our old videos on the 3 H's and how you vet someone and how you decide is this person worthy of me texting and then video chatting and then going on a date with in real life? That's part of how you weed through, is you just don't give time or attention to someone that isn't speaking to your head, your heart, and your hoo-ha right off the bat. And you don't get offended by it. That's the main thing. The main point is don't get offended that it's a hunt, that it's a search, that it's shopping, like shopping for a new home or shopping for anything. That's important.
We always called it when I got together with my girlfriends the man catalog. Get out the man catalog to see who's on there. And
Sale today.
yeah, it really was that. It was fun. I mean, I had fun.
Actually should be fun. Now, some people think shopping is a burden and annoying, and other people think shopping is so much fun. And if I were you and you want to find the love of your life, I would dig in there. And of course, I do that. I'm very tactical, but I'm also I work on mindset, right? I know that this is an emotional area. So if you are resisting the work of dating, there's some reason, and we need to know what it is so we can actually work on that reason and not blame dating.
So here's another one that comes up all the time too, that if I want to meet somebody in real life, and you and I have done a video on that, why bother with dating apps?
Sorry, the computer is real life. Anything you want at this point in life is going to pretty much involve real life and a computer. Good strategy means using both. And I really like using both because when you're tired of the computer, you've got real life. And when you're tired of real life, you've got the computer. If you have a bias against one or the other, examine why you have that bias. What's the fear? What's the theory behind it? And do you really believe that, want to believe that? But if it's just a preference, you can lean one way or the other, no problem. Wherever you're the most comfortable, you'll be the most successful. But you're really leaving opportunity on the table if you're not working both angles, in my humble opinion.
I just thought of a question I meant to ask you while we were talking about the getting through all the clutter. Now I remember it popped in my head as you were talking. I knew right away whether or not I wanted to pursue somebody or not, and it wasn't just the picture, it was the opening paragraph. I personally don't think it's that difficult, and I don't know whether I just made too many rash decisions, perhaps. Talk to me about that. What's the best mix of giving a profile a chance versus just, you're out of here?
I rate everything on a scale of 1 to 10. So head, how practical is the person? Heart, how does it feel? That's hard to do from just a profile. And hoo-ha is the chemistry. So mostly what you're assessing when you look at a profile is the hoo-ha. First, the hoo-ha. You first look at the picture, because if someone's not a 6 out of 10 or better in the picture, you're just moving on. You're not going to bother. And then you're looking for head deal breakers. So usually you can see that, and you don't have time to read every word that everybody's written. So in that first paragraph, you're getting a sense of, are there any deal breakers? Where do they live? What are they doing with their life? And you can hear a heart deal breaker too, because if something rubs you the wrong way or offends you, or you find out about a political or religious or whatever thing that is just a no for you, you can usually find out those head and heart deal breakers in that first paragraph. I would say if you have no problem in the first paragraph and the person is a 6 or above in hoo-ha, then you should read everything else. You don't have to read everything else if you're already canceling them out on those two criteria, but you should read everything else if they're getting passes, because now you're looking for, okay, what's wrong with them? Mm-hmm. Like, am I okay with what's wrong with them? That's what you're then looking for. And then if you can't figure that out from the profile, you do need to start texting and find out, do they really live near here? Do they have 7 cats? Are they really single? Those are the kinds of things you then have to find out. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. And getting back to our original question, which is, which sites are the best sites, or which sites work the best? And you answered that, that there's really no real answer. However, is one side or another perhaps better in helping you make decisions? I mean, is there anything that in closing we can leave our audience with? Because that's the reason they tuned in, which is the best side?
So I want to say there are distinctions in obviously desktop or phone, how much they let you write versus, shorter prompts versus longer prompts, and target audiences, right? Either by age or by a type of interest or identity. something that I think most people, one distinction between the kinds of sites that you can think about when you're trying to think which do I like better is, do I want the ones that are going to give me a personality test or a questionnaire? So
Mhm.
for example, eHarmony is known for that. Elite Singles is known for that. I believe Elite Singles has a 200 question survey, let's put it that way. And so you have to ask yourself, do I want to sit down and take the time to do that?
Mhm.
Do I want to allow the system to do that level of matchmaking for me, or do I want to, right? Like, do I think I'm going to be better at weeding through all of that and picking myself? Do I like the mystery of it? It's like, do I want to know the gender of my kid, or do I want to be surprised? Right? So really different people want different things. So that's, if you're looking at distinctions, I wouldn't go by the distinction price. They're all pretty similar in prices. But that's a distinction that I think you can make based on your actual preference.
That, yeah, exactly. And there are resources, on the internet, as well as like what you said. You have your cheat sheet that describe the characteristics of the site that might resonate with you more so than another. Well, I hope we answered some important questions that you have regarding this topic. Is there anything that you want to add, Laurie, before we close?
You just made me think of this because in one of our other videos, I was, sort of upset over the fact that people are using AI to write their profiles. But I will say, ChatGPT is useful to figure out which dating site is best for you. That is a good use of AI. So if you want ChatGPT to go, tell me the features, the pros and the cons of these 5 dating sites. That is something that ChatGPT could be very helpful instead of you having to find and research each site yourself and really read the whole website for each one. That's something I do approve using ChatGPT for. How about that?
That is such a great tip. Absolutely. And if you're not familiar with GPT, which I really didn't use it until up to a few weeks ago, and it's just, oh my gosh. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we're in a new world, but it's going to
Yes,
be
we
here to
are.
stay. So I might as well embrace it and put it to good use while we're still here. Laurie, thank you. I always enjoy talking with you. There's so many more things I want to talk with you about. If you want to talk with Laurie directly, maybe coach with Laurie, lots of stuff to learn here. If you're back on the dating scene after 50, it's so great to have some help. All of Laurie's contact information is in the show notes, as well as her website, which has all kinds of great information that might help you just by visiting it. Laurie, thank you so much. And I look forward to our next conversation on Second Act TV.